Have you ever wondered if a company on the brink of total collapse could save itself, not with some huge bailout or fancy new technology, but with just a single powerful idea? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. It's the incredible story of an airline that did just that and how their discovery completely rewrote the playbook for customer service.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in the early 1980s, and Scandinavian Airlines, or SAS, has a huge problem. Now, if you looked at them on paper, everything seemed perfect. I mean, they had the right planes, they flew the most popular routes, their prices were competitive, everything looked great. But the reality was a total disaster. Sales were tanking, customers were unhappy, and they were bleeding money.
And this whole situation was driving the new CEO, a guy named Jan Carlson, completely crazy. He's looking at all the data, and it just doesn't add up. All the usual signs of a successful airline were there, but the company was in a nosedive. He just had to figure it out. What was the missing piece of this puzzle?
So, to solve this mystery, Carlson did something pretty unconventional for a CEO. He figured the answer wasn't going to be found in some spreadsheet or a stuffy boardroom meeting. No, he had to see his airline through the only eyes that really mattered, the customers. He literally went undercover. He booked his own tickets, stood in his own lines, and went through the entire travel process just like any other passenger. It was a pretty bold move, but he was convinced it was the only way to find out what was really going on. So he started mapping out the entire customer journey, and I mean in painstaking detail. Every single point of contact a passenger has with the airline, from the moment you even think about booking a flight, to the person at the check-in counter, the baggage handlers, the crew on the plane, all the way to grabbing your suitcase off the carousel. And what he discovered was a total game changer. It turned out the problem wasn't the big, expensive stuff, the planes or the routes. It was the thousands of tiny human interactions happening every single day. Was the staff friendly? Were they patient when a customer had a question? How did they handle problems? He realized that all these little moments were adding up to one giant negative impression.
And this is where his undercover mission led to an idea so powerful it would change not just SaaS, but the entire service industry. It was a total paradigm shift, a truly groundbreaking realization.
And this realization gave birth to this powerful new concept, a framework that he called the moment of truth. He called these critical interactions moments of truth. And his big insight was this. In these brief, fleeting encounters, the entire reputation of the company was either being built up or torn down, one customer at a time. Every single interaction was a chance to either create a lifelong fan or lose a customer forever. And you know what? These moments happen incredibly fast. Just think about it in a retail store. Studies show a customer decides whether they're going to stay and buy something or just walk right out in the first 15 seconds. Talk about pressure. Every single one of those seconds is a moment of truth. And the results for SaaS? Well, they were absolutely staggering. By shifting the entire company's focus to winning every single one of these moments of truth, they went from being on the verge of bankruptcy to becoming one of the most profitable and respected airlines in the entire world. It was a complete turnaround, all driven by this one simple idea. But here's the really crucial part. This isn't just some nice, feel-good story. Carlson actually turned his insight into a practical, four-step framework that any business can use to engineer a better customer experience from the ground up. He laid it out in a super clear four-step process. So, step one, you gotta define the experience you actually want your customers to have. What's the end goal? Then, step two, identify every single one of those moments of truth and build systems that make a positive outcome the default. Step three, you have to actively hunt for where things go wrong and fix those weak spots. And finally, step four, never ever stop improving. It's a constant cycle of learning and getting better. Really, the whole point of this is to take luck completely out of the equation. A fantastic customer experience should never be a happy accident, right? It has to be the result of careful, intentional design, getting the right people, the right methods, and the right guidelines in place to deliver a great experience every single time.
Now, this all sounds pretty straightforward, doesn't it? So you might be thinking, if this idea is so simple and so powerful, why isn't every company amazing at this? Well, it turns out it's a lot harder than it looks.
Because the reality is delivering that kind of consistency is incredibly difficult. There are just so many things that can go wrong. People are a huge variable. Your best employee might be having a bad day, or they might quit. Equipment breaks down, technology fails, and then you have things you can't even control, like a sudden storm that throws your whole system into chaos. And here's the real kicker.
Even if you manage to get everything right, the goalposts are always moving. Because what a customer thinks is amazing, 5-star service today, well, that just becomes their basic expectation for tomorrow. It means the job of improving that customer experience is literally never finished.
So, what does this all boil down to? In a world where your customers have endless choices, your entire business, your whole brand, can be defined by a single 15-second interaction. So the question every business has to ask is this: when that moment of truth arrives for your customer, which moment will they remember? Will it be for one that makes them a loyal fan for life, or the one that sends them straight to your competition?